All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of Laughing Into Your Void. I am guest host Chris for you tonight, co-hosting as always with the wonderful Roslyn, who is joining us. Hello!
Hello!
Tom is out in the world bringing laughter to people across the internet this evening, so you get to spend some time with me. As always, you can watch our previous podcast on District Comedy, YouTube, and Facebook channels, and listen to them on most podcast platforms. If you do enjoy the stream, please consider making a donation of any size at district-comedy.live, district-comedy.live. Alternatively, like, share, subscribe to our stuff, because that also really helps to get the word out. We're really excited today. We're here with Michael Ridgaway. Michael and Ros co-host Mondo in Baltimore. It's a cult film series, and you can always find out more information on mondobaltimore.com or Mondo Baltimore Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You have a mondobaltimore.com?
Apparently. Somewhere it exists. Don't ask me. Talk to your people. But welcome.
I wonder when the last time it was updated was.
We do have that. Oh, that's okay. All right, yeah. Good on Mark. He's the guy that sort of does like. It's like the overmind, and does a lot of the promotional work and just talking to people and getting shit done while we just get up in front of people or in front of a camera and get drunk and watch bad movies. Also, hi, yes, I'm Michael Ridgaway. Hi, everybody.
Excellent. Well, just to let you know, Michael, we always like to start the podcast with the same question we ask every person that comes on. So, how would you describe your sense of humor to someone who's never met you before?
Cishet white guy, rapidly approaching middle age, but actually a decent person. Like there's so many. Like I'm not a professional or even amateur comedian. I'm just a guy who's lucky enough to be able to talk about terrible movies with his friends and host now weekly screening of them. But I just try to approach it with my weird, frantic dad energy, and frantic nerd dad energy, and also like without getting into the whole like, oh, I complain about my wife or oh, my kids are terrible. It's like, no, I love my wife. I love my kids. Here's something really funny they did. You didn't find that funny? Well, you have no sense of humor because it was about butts, and butts are great. So yeah, just manic nerd dad energy is sort of with a healthy dash of pettiness for people I don't care for.
No, is there a certain amount of time it took for you to really develop that dad joke humor? Because that's what I'm hearing.
I've always had a little bit of it, but like it's just when you have a kid, and you're just that's your entire like space that you're operating in. You don't really have a lot of time for complex, nuanced comedy. It's just like you might just be in the shower and it's like, Boogaloo Boys kind of sounds like Moogaloo Boys from Final Fantasy. That's a joke. So, I told that to a friend the other day. She's like, get out. And I'm just like, you're right. You're right to hate me. but I really chuckled at that. So yeah, it's just you have all these, you have your attention is devoted to so many other things that really the only time you have to come up with funny things is just in the random moments where you're not thinking of anything, and then it just something pops into your head, and it's like, that's my joke now.
So what I'm hearing is you're like people who think they can sing in the shower. You write your best material in the shower.
And on the toilet. And on the toilet.
The toilet is an important throne of creativity. Yes.
Listen, man, those are like the two places I am alone and get to think by myself. So
I'm impressed that you actually get time alone on the toilet. I didn't realize your 6-year-old would be so polite.
Not always, but you know, he will leave me alone if he barges in. And I tell him, like, Daddy's on the toilet, Connor. Bye. Goodbye.
Daddy's right now.
Children and pets. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got one of the pets right there. That is Rogue. She's my little tuxedo kitten. She's not. I don't know what she's staring at in the corner.
Ghosts.
Probably.
Yeah, so it's interesting too, because Mike, you're like the first, like, I would say that you do comedy with me when we do Mondo.
Yeah.
You've done stuff like we used to do Experts in Nothing, which was a comedy game show our friends put on about pop culture. It was like improvised stand-up about pop culture, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of like, I don't know, you're the first person we had on who doesn't really have like the comedian identity.
No.
So before we kind of dive into that, just to help our listeners understand, what is Mondo? If they don't know, just so they understand when we talk about your comedy and what you do, they get where it's coming from.
Sure. So Mondo Baltimore is a previously once a month, now it's a once a week sort of cult movie screening. It's, you know, heavily inspired by things like Elvira, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Joe Bob Briggs, where we have hosts. It's gone between a few different people in the past, but recently it's settled mostly on Ros and myself and our friend John Bennett. Used to be the main host and then had to step away, but now that we're online, he's back. So we pick a movie every week. We usually come up with a drinking game. We've kind of had to fudge it a little bit lately because we're doing this once a month and now it's once a week, and we, you know, now that we're kind of good at lockdown, I guess you could say, you know, we're all working again and we have a bunch of other commitments. But you know, we'll come up with a drinking game. We'll introduce the movie. Before that, we put together a themed clip show that usually coincides with the movie. For instance, this week is a movie called BMX Bandits. It's an Australian film, Nicole Kidman's first. And so we are going to do an Australia-themed clip show. And so, you know, we have our shtick. We play the first half of the movie. We come back. We do a game or just riff on something. Yeah.
Challenge, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we for the second half, and then we come back and we close it out and set up next week. Kind of classic like horror movie host stuff.
Excellent. So did you do improv when you were growing up, or was it just watching a bunch of sci-fi movies and realizing how bad they were? Like, what was the interest?
A little bit of both. I grew up on MST3K. And you know, just terrible sci-fi channel movies. And I actually, so my main gig these days is science stuff. But I grew up doing theater. I actually have my bachelor's is in physics and theater. So I have that, and I've done a bunch of other. Yeah, no, that's the reaction I get.
Physical theater.
Here's here's what I tell people. The physics is, first off, it's very lucrative. Not very. Well, it's lucrative if you don't have a soul, which is typically also pretty lucrative. But it's good, like, analytical stuff, good left brain stuff. But theater was really great for just kind of helping me learn how to talk to people. And even now, I'm not great at it, but it's good for, developing your writing skills, developing your organizational skills, developing your speaking skills. Like it was a really good combination for me personally. But yeah, then after college, like, doing a bunch of theater stuff. I've done like some podcasts in the past, so like, there's like, it all kind of has led up to this in a way.
Bill Nye does film commentary. I dig it.
Yeah. And and this, I mean, I started coming to Mondo back in 2013, I think. And it's sort of the story of my life where I just become friends with a bunch of cool people because I start going out to things. I'm just like, oh, you guys are cool. Can I talk to you? And then you just become friends with people after a while. And eventually they're like, hey, do you want to help us pick the movies? Hey, do you want to help host this? And like, yes, God, yes. So
yeah,
my journey.
How old is Mondo altogether?
I think it started in 2010 or 2011.
It's almost 11. It's almost 11. June.
That's right, because we had the 10th anniversary in June.
Yeah. So yeah, we actually weren't originally, like, we aren't originators from it.
No. That would be Mark Colgrove and Sean Jones. Mark, I think, really got it going, and Sean kind of stepped in a few events later, and Sean is just like, well, so Mark's a filmmaker here in Baltimore. So is Sean, and Sean really has this encyclopedic knowledge of just every goddamn movie. His basement is amazing. It's just, wall to wall Blu-rays and DVDs, and just like, stuff you've only heard about in whispers. But yeah, they're really great guys, and the organization has really kind of bloomed. There's a bunch more people. We have the Mondo Planning Committee, which is basically just a Facebook group for us to dick around and make jokes. But then they like, hey, this movie's fucking weird. Let's watch that. So
good. So I mean, you guys had a decent community of Facebook following of almost 2,000 people kind of going into it, and how was it transitioning to a more digital medium versus really kind of being in that open environment where you're feeding off of each other's energy and all that?
It's weird. It's very weird.
I'm a lot more sober when we watch the movies now.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I like the bar atmosphere, but it's definitely it kind of feels like we're giving something back by doing the weekly streams to our like faithful followers. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so we're not getting too many people every week. It's usually between 20 and 30. And that's not really counting. There might be multiple people watching in a single household, but like on the actual like users, it's like 20 to 30. And a lot of those are our friends, people who are, part of the Mondo Planning Committee. And I think we probably still be doing this even if it was just us there, because we miss each other a lot. You could see it like John Bennett. He is the target of a lot of I don't want to say ire. Heckling, yeah. By other very good friends. And they love doing this in person. This is just how they show affection. They just heckle back and forth. And you kind of get the feeling that, if it weren't for at least the virtual heckling, a lot of us would go insane. Because it's that push and pull is sort of really vital to a lot of our characters. But yeah, it's been a weird transition. Like, it's doing it every week is not as bad a proposition as I thought it would be, because there's nothing else really going on.
There's also a lot of terrible movies out there. We definitely haven't run out of movies.
No, and this has actually been kind of a good chance for us to experiment a little bit more. We've had some good ones. We've had some real bad ones that we used to make it a point to basically get together, watch the movie before we'd show it, and that's when we would make the drinking game or be like, that scene is very problematic. We should cut that out of the edit that we're showing. We don't always have the time to do that.
And it has not gone well in a couple of cases.
Yeah. No, we've gotten flack. We have rightly gotten some flack.
Rightly so. Yeah.
But we've gotten better at picking them. It helps that so we use a app called Cast, which lets you stream and do a chat thing and has camera integration, so we can have a close approximation of what we used to do. And they have we used to kind of do these mystery streams, which was just our way of saying we're showing something we don't have the rights to.
We have a very gentle relationship with copyright law at Mondo Baltimore.
But now they've integrated the YouTube, and they have their own library of stuff you can stream for free, and they have Tubi, and those are great places to get really bad or weird movies that are still very fun. We do have a sweet spot where we try to hit. So we've kind of gotten into the swing of the virtual stuff. It's still weird. I still wish I could see everybody in person, but this is the best we got right now.
Yeah. I mean, we were also at a weird point, too, when the pandemic hit, because for the first 9 years of Mondo's life, it was at the wind-up space here in Baltimore, and then the wind-up space closed. So we had a couple months where we didn't have Mondo, and then we had our first one back at our new home at the Auto Bar, and got our stride, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like, oh,
womp womp.
I guess we're not doing this live anymore for a while.
Was the last one, was it February was the last one? I think, yeah. February would have been the last one. I don't think...
It might have been March.
Was it March? I forget.
So when you think about all of that, what have you done to try to keep the audience engaged? Or how do you keep the word of Mondo live, bringing the laughter to your home?
Ooh.
Facebook shares, and that's about it. No, I mean, I'll tell friends and family, mention it. We're doing a weekly stream, but
yeah.
At first it is weekly, and that can be a big commitment to people. And it's kind of just hard to be well, I'm stuck here. I might as well just watch Netflix or something. There's the Cast, the app it's a barrier in and of itself. People got to make an account, and if I could, we would stream it on Facebook, but you can't. Yeah. They have algorithms to basically figure out if you are playing something and shut you down. One of our friends, Melissa Lamartina, who hosts a similar night under the name Aurora Borealis, she's run into that. She's been doing Facebook live streams herself, but they kind of have to jury rig it up where I think they're aiming a camera at a screen. Yeah. But if it's something that it triggers the algorithm, it just shuts down the stream. So Cast has been great for that.
Yeah.
So how much of this is like keeping the brand alive, and how much of it's for your own sanity in all of this and having that sense of normal?
It's a very good question.
I mean, I would say a big part of it's our sanity, but also, I mean, the other thing, I think one of the things about like Mondo's success is just like the fact that Mark and Sean have been so consistent. Like, they have been doing Mondo every single first Thursday of the month, pretty much almost every single month since Mondo started. And since it started, we have done Mondo every single Friday night since the pandemic started.
We're catching up to them. We're catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it on Christmas evening because we had nothing to do.
What else are we going to do?
Yeah.
My kids went to bed. I'm here. I got a bottle of whiskey for Christmas.
Well, hey, in 5 to 10 years, you'll be able to use Christmas Jaws as your Christmas movie, because that was a...
Oh, no, we almost showed that, and apparently it's really bad.
Oh, it's awful. But it was, awful in a good way, and it made me nostalgic for my childhood, so I understand.
Yeah.
I propose Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, which is Kirk Cameron's batshit insane Christian movie about why it's okay to commercialize Christmas. But I was overruled, and we ended up showing, for the first time ever, an actually good movie called Rare Exports. If you haven't seen it, it's great. It's a
that movie's great.
Movie. And it really confused, baffled, and angered our audience because they were like, this isn't a bad movie. This is a good movie. Why are you showing a good movie?
We do occasionally show a good movie.
Yeah.
Just because it's also a very weird movie. Marquee was like that. The first time we showed that at the Bar, at that wind-up space. The Marquis is a French film from the 90s about the Marquis de Sade, but with human actors, but everyone has these really incredibly well sculpted, like anthropomorphic animal masks. Like Marquis de Sade is like a dog, and
there's a horse lady.
There's a horse lady. There's a rat guy. There's a rooster. But also, the Marquis talks to his penis, Colin, which is another puppet, which comes out of his pants, and it's a very odd movie. It's a very sexual movie, obviously, because it's about the Marquis de Sade, but it's not a bad movie. It's aggressively French. I showed it to my wife, who's not the typical audience for Mondo Baltimore, but she enjoys French culture, and she's like, "Yep, nope, this movie very French, very, very French. Yeah, no, this would all just be like normal shit they see on TV over there." But yeah, no, the entire usually people are talking, they're making jabs and jibes at the movie. Entire bar was silent, just watching this movie, reading the subtitles, because it's good. Like it's got a message. It actually gets it across very well. Like it's fun to watch. It's a pleasure to watch because of the skill involved. Not your typical Mondo movie, but like really worth showing just because of how out there it is, at least for us.
Yeah. So. And it also led to a lot of pointed heckling of poor John Bennett. Luckily, this is before our tenure as host. So it didn't get aimed at us. But there's a scene in which the Marquis de Sade has sexual intercourse with the brick wall of his jail cell.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty hot wall.
For the next year and a half, every time John took the stage, the entire audience would chant "fuck the wall" at him.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Choices are made. Choices were made.
Yeah.
So that's the type of audience we collect. It's people who can enjoy a weird French film for the piece of art that it is, and love cinema and genuinely enjoy movies for the effort behind them, but also they're going to scream at you to fuck the wall if you're on stage.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you've been doing Mondo for almost 10 years now, or over 10 years. I think you said...
Oh, no.
7. You said 2013, right?
So... I've been going. I've only been hosting since, like, last...
2 years.
Well, no, 2 years. About 2. Wow, has it been... Jesus, okay.
Okay, so 2 years. So do you feel that you're getting wittier, or do you feel that the movies are just making your brain even more mush and having to work against it?
You know, the best part about it, and I think the part that really shines through for Ros and I, is just that we've built a really good rapport, I think, with each other while we're up there in front of people. So that's been great, and I think that's a really good thing that we bring to it. So and like there have been times where like one of us is hosted without the other, and like it feels a little bit off. So that's sort of, I think, what really has developed for me, just developed for us, like, you know, this playing off of each other and being able to improv off each other. I'd say probably the only time I did it by myself and felt comfortable was probably Love on a Leash, because you bowed out so that you could experience the splendor that is Love on a Leash. And I hated that movie so much that I was just fueled by pure rage-a-hall that night. And like, this is the movie the month before I warned people, like, don't come to this movie. I watched this movie and felt like it sucked every bit of life out of me. You're not ready for it. It's too bad. We're showing it, but don't come. And of course, next month we had a packed house.
Yep.
And it's half the people like loved it because it is, oh my god, like you think you've hit rock bottom with a movie you've seen, and then Love on a Leash comes along and it's just like fucking blast through the bedrock and like you're down into the magma. And then the other half were just like, what the fuck did I just watch? I should have listened to you. So yeah, that was a special one, and that just I got to yell at the audience the entire time. So that
I was about to say, so you got to find yourself in an interesting place. You know, stand-up comics, they already have their set. They get hecklers, they play off of them. Improvisers are playing with each other. It's based on suggestions. In this place, it sounded like you had to find comedy through rage, like literal rage.
That's
like,
actually...
how do you find that funny in that moment?
I mean, it's something I've done before because I used to do this podcast called Magcast. It was like for this thing I used to help out with called Magfest, the Music and Gaming Festival. And it was me and a few of my friends who were sort of like high in the organization. They developed a segment called Old Man Mike's Crotchety Corner, where I would I was sort of known as the crotchety old man of MagFest, where I was just like, I fucking hate all these kids playing my video games. But like, I would just kind of get hyper focused on an issue in the moment and just go on like a Lewis Black kind of tear on it, where I'm just like, this fucking thing with these fucking people playing their video games too quick. Why don't you just slow down, enjoy your goddamn video game? They made all this other shit in there, and you're just skipping past it. That's fucking rude. You're rude. Play the goddamn game the way it's supposed to be played. And, you know, that lots of other stuff I got angry about. So I have a deep well of anger in me I can tap into sometimes. And, you know, it's good to tap into it in funny ways instead of, like...
Scary ways.
So... You know,
which he never does, by the way. Just
I try not to. It's not a side of myself that gets out a lot, or that I'm very proud of. But you know, deep well of anger. I'm a cishet male raised in a toxic masculinity culture, so you know, it's just there.
So when you think about the worst of the best, like, what was your favorite movie that you got to play with, and like what happened, what made it special?
Oh, I've got a few. So I will say Level on a Leash is one of the best Mondos we've ever done, even though I hate it.
We got the entire audience to applaud the main character, who's a dog, getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
There was a standing ovation for that moment in the movie.
Yes. That's, again, one of the best Mondo moments I've ever seen. Just people cheering for a dog being plowed over by a truck.
Oh, God.
No. See, if you watched it, you would understand, because this movie is sort of like a weird take on the Frog Prince, except he's a dog and he's just an asshole. And they filmed this entire movie where, like, the first third is the woman who will fall in love with him, basically being like traumatized by men. And then she meets the dog and she falls in love with him and he gets to become a human, but only during the night and when it's cloudy. So then the second third is about their relationship and them figuring out how they're living together. Now, this movie does not have a backing music track. So aside from dialogue, it is completely silent.
There either never was one, or they just forgot to upload it to Amazon Prime when...
It's also not on the DVD, because I bought the DVD to see. But anyway, yeah. Also, there's just a lot of blank space where this dog is just running around. So I think, this is my theory, they had the guy who played the human version of the dog dub over just the pure dog parts with like his internal monologue, and like he's just riffing on the movie and also just like saying terrible things about the woman he's with. At one point she falls into a pool and she's drowning and he's a dog and he's like, all right, fine, I'll save your ass. Grab on, you pizza face cinder block, and pulls her to safety. And then like the last third is like, he loses the girl. They're searching for each other. He gets hit by a car. They find each other again 20 years later once he's reincarnated as a hot young dog instructor. The movie's fucking wild. And I hate it. But also, that was a great Mondo. Other honorable mentions include one of my favorites, Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. It is about a bed that eats people. It is a giant 4-poster bed in a room, and it's just random people come into this like dilapidated mansion. It's like, oh, sweet bed, and then they get digested. The bed is actually a demon. No, it's a demon spawn, and it dies when they bring do a ritual to bring a lady back from the dead, and she fucks a guy without hands, which is supposed to be the culmination of the relationship that spawned the deathbed, and then it bursts into flames.
Well, spoiler alert, thank you for ruining the movie for me. That was going to be my weekend.
Oh, no.
But...
Oh, no. There's so much more.
I would encourage you to watch it. It is bonkers.
Let's see. There's The Vineyard. Which was really fun. That's James Hong. You've probably seen him. You've seen James Hong. He's really well-known Asian American actor. The thing that always comes to mind is Wayne's World 2. He plays Wayne's girlfriend's dad.
Okay.
You've seen this guy everywhere. He saved a bunch of money, I think, back in the 80s, early 90s, and he made his own horror movie. It's not good, but he really, like, you can feel the passion behind it. So they sell it. They really try to sell it, and so that's great. There was one more. Oh, one of my favorites that I pitched is Creatures from the Abyss, or Plankton, which is a Italian horror movie about a bunch of teens that end up on a research vessel in the Mediterranean, which is just like a fuck boat. Like it's a fuck palace for some reason. and they have to deal with the radioactive mutant fish that are also super horny for them. Just like, oh my god, these fish are so horned up for reasons, because plankton, radioactive plankton made them horny. And it's kind of slow at first, but like the last third of it is just some of the most bonkers stuff you'll ever see with like weird like claymation monsters and a very weird fish sex scene, and just some of the a very sexually aggressive shower too, like a shower artificial intelligence that's very sexually aggressive. But yeah, so those are some of my favorites.
So what I'm hearing though is Mondo is just not about American films. You guys have gone internationally. Bad horror movie films are made.
We're trying. We've been actually trying to branch out more now that we're doing the weekly stuff.
Subtitles can be a bit of a hard sell, but we have shown some movies with subtitles, some just with bad dubbing. One of my favorites was Turkish Star Wars.
Oh my god, yeah.
I don't know if you need to say anything else. Like, I want to picture it just as I picture it and leave it out there in the ether. No, go ahead.
So Turkish Star Wars, they used footage from real Star Wars movies. They like bootlegged it, and they sort of rewrote, sort of reused the Star Wars origin story, and then just put it all into a different movie that's in Turkish. And it was bad / good enough to show to a Mondo audience, even though it had subtitles. And it was ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun.
One that we discovered this year, thanks to our friend Josh, is Who Killed Captain Alex, which is a Ugandan film. And I had kind of been wanting us to branch out, but also like there's a weird like line you want to make sure you walk, because like you don't want to pull like a badly made movie from like Africa and be like, oh look, it's funny because they don't know what they're doing, because that's not really cool. You're punching down. This is but Who Killed Captain Alex, made by this guy, and this neighborhood that they've now dubbed Wakaliwood. It's a slum in Uganda. But basically, he just made an action movie with his friends for like $30. And they just had fun, and you can tell they're having fun, and like the acting's not great, and the the plot is just like crazy and all over the place, and the CGI effects in there are like, look like a Angel Fire site from 1995. And that's all well and good, but what the guy ended up doing is that he got his friend, who goes by the name VJ Emmy, to dub over it with like narration that's equal part like MST3K riffing, but hype man. So like he's talking over the entire movie, and it's great because it really kind of pulls in the fact that it's like, listen, we know what we did. We had fun making this movie. We know it's not great. We can make fun of it, but also like, look at this action! Movie! And so that's great. It's so fun. And like, you feel like you're sort of like, everyone's in on the joke, and you can just kind of be like, this is great. We're having fun.
Yeah.
So I think you brought up a really good point. And when selecting movies, how do you walk that line, especially when you're looking internationally, of being like, we're not looking to offend, we're looking to say, this was created and we are now going to comment on it, versus like, look how bad they are over there, or look at what they did, versus like the American movies, we all know range and no one's gonna, that kind of thing. But internationally, that could be a big sticking point.
It's hard, and like American movies don't get a pass because like you can look at something from the 60s or 70s, and like there's a lot of exploitation movies out there that have stuff that's really unpleasant nowadays. That let's just put this out there. There's a lot of sexual violence in movies that once upon a time was seen as like goofy, and now people are just like, that is rape. That's rape. And that's bad. I mean, like, look at Revenge of the Nerds. Like that's a whole thing, people kind of realized in the last 10 years, like, he kind of raped her, didn't he? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
but it's like
and the constant racism in that movie too is pretty,
yeah,
yeah.
So it's a difficult line to walk. We don't always walk it correctly. We do try to be honest. It's a much easier thing to do when we're watching the movie, ahead of time. We actually, sort of instituted that policy when we did have an issue with a movie that hadn't been watched all the way through. And there was a pretty vile rape scene in it. Not going to mince words there. And we have really, as a group, we've really tried to come back from that and change, institute things so that we don't end up showing that type of thing to an audience that is not there for that. They want to laugh, they want to have fun. We can laugh at the older attitudes, and one of the nice things about watching beforehand and coming up with the drinking game and all that stuff is that we can help contextualize that, and we can make a joke out of just like, okay, every time such and such character slaps a woman on the ass and calls her sweet cheeks, yell, that's my purse, I don't know you, and take a drink. So yeah, we can make fun of that, but it's gotten a little harder with the weekly, just because we're not doing as much oversight. But also, we do have rating systems, and like now that we're doing stuff with Tubi, it's a lot easier to be like, okay, this, if it was on Tubi, it probably doesn't have like a really sexually explicit scene.
So, you made some really nice steps. You guys you saw a problem, you went ahead and got it fixed by doing pre-screens, and especially thinking about things as you go back, and hopefully in 6-7 months when you can be live again, what that looks like. But how do you feel that being in there and pre-screening it early takes away the spontaneity of your guys' humor? Like, does it, or is it just like we're watching it for logistical purposes and tomorrow we're going to be funny? Or what does that conversation look like?
I mean, we can be funny both times. Like it's I think of it in terms of like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like when you're watching it, it's not like they were all just there that day recording and like these are all the jokes they came up with on the fly. It's like, no, they've watched the movie multiple times. They've seen it. They've been able to kind of think about it, and they can process it and kind of come up with some jokes that we can put out there, like during our intro and during the intermission, just bring up things that we thought were funny, because also we're not always necessarily paying attention to the entire thing the night of Mondo, because
because we've got a lot of cues to remember as far as like, are we promoting this event? Do we need to be expecting intermission to start? We also do a raffle during the live event where you buy tickets for $2 and you get free unlimited popcorn, and you might win some sort of weird prize that's tangentially related to the movie.
Yeah, and someone's got to make the popcorn. Usually it's Mark, but he's not always there. So yeah, no, so that really, just watching it ahead of time really just helps us kind of get into the mindset, make sure that we know what we're talking about. Because also I haven't necessarily seen all the movies that people pitch for Mondo beforehand. So like I don't want to get up there and just be like, okay, tonight we're gonna show what was the last one you pitched? The
Hellgate.
Hellgate. It's like, oh, we're showing Hellgate. Roz pitched it. Seems fun. Let's all see. No, it really helps like to be to have some basic knowledge of what you're showing, and just be like, yeah, here's the movie and here's a little research on it. Here's who's in it. Here's a funny story about it.
And our audience gives us a lot of the spontaneity too. Like even if, so we've usually watched it as a committee, but before we show it live. But we also encourage the audience to heckle. Like we want people to actively be screaming at the movie while it's playing. Like it's a bar environment, you know, it's fun, it's raucous, it's like crazy. You know, people come up and act funny like during our like intermission games or when they win raffle prizes. Like one guy at one point won like a lamp that was like a Kermit the Frog.
Oh god, that was the best fucking lamp.
And literally,
no, Sean found it at a flea market. It is a Kermit the Frog stuffed doll impaled on like a lamp. Just it's shoved up his ass and like comes out from behind his head. And it's like it's grisly looking, and like I know why someone made that. It's like, hey, look, I made a fun Kermit the Frog lamp. But then like you take a second, it's like, oh god.
That sounds amazing. So you know, you talked.
What were you saying, Ross? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, and so the guy that won it was so enthusiastic and funny when he came up to claim his prize. And then later that night, after the movie, we were doing karaoke, and he went up there and he sang "It's Not Easy Being Green" with his Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. I was there when Sean found that at the flea market, and he's just like, "This is amazing. I'm buying it." I was like, "You should. You absolutely should."
That magical day. So like that really helps keep it fresh because they might notice things that we've missed, or they might something that wasn't funny, like screaming "fuck the wall" at somebody isn't that funny. But then after seeing Marquis and turning it into a meme, more or less, you know, the audience kind of took that one over. So
yeah, I could see again that's that piece of the difference between being in a room where people are having a good time, they're all together, everyone's vibing, watching this movie, versus kind of the digital format and the impact of that. So kind of as you look forward, Mike, so I know you talked about the things that you've done before with your background in physics and theater and physical theater, as Rosalind said, literally, and then doing, you know, Expert of Nothing, which I've been very fortunate to see as well. It's a podcast. Check it out. It's hilarious. You know, as your kid gets older and as things continue to evolve, do you want to start to do more in other avenues of comedy, or is like, hey, you know what, Mondo gives me a great comedic outlet, it's what I love, or is there more in your future from a comedy standpoint?
I have no idea. I'll be honest with you, like right now, I am just making it day by day. But my wife and I work full time. We got a special needs kid. We had a new baby this year. Oopsie baby. Not planned. So
baby.
Yeah, she's sweet. I love her. But it's like it's okay, we have a second baby now. Wasn't planning on that. So yeah, I have a lot going on. And so I haven't really thought beyond that. My wife is actually a classically trained opera singer. It's not her main gig, but she does do a lot of singing and theater. So like it's a constant like trade-off between us, like when we want to go out and do various things, like, well, I have Mondo, it's like, well, you know, I have rehearsal this night, so we figure out that balance. I love podcasts. Podcasts are great because really the thing I want to do is just go out and have a good time with my friends. Like I'm not there. I mean, it's nice, but I'm not there completely just like, you know, for the performative aspect. I just like goofing around and doing silly stuff with my friends. And you know, I really hope, you know, we can get out and do that with Mondo again. I play D&D a lot with a very funny group of people, and you know, people tell us like, you should record that. It's like, yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's funny, and I'm sure some people would get stuff out of it, but also that's not why I'm playing. So it's I don't know. Well, maybe or I might just continue to be a weird nerd dad that does that hosts a bad movie once a month.
Hey, I would listen to Mike's Crotchety Corner podcast. I was like, that's a great title. He's made the pitch. How do we get it started? It's just like tangents of things that happen during the week, you know? Like, this is what
it's been a while. Madcast ended a while ago, and I have a few tangents I could go off on. I wanted to say, like, I try not to hold on to grudges. Like, no, I'm really good at holding on to grudges. As long as they're fun. I really do try not to hold on to, like, the bad grudges. Like the ones that, like, kind of twist you up inside, you know what I mean? But things where I'm just, like, pettily annoyed at something that is stupid and is not really consequential to mine or anyone else's life. Yeah, those are fun grudges. I could go off all day about those.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I have a joke grudge against Australian people that's lasted a decade. So.
Please! I'm looking forward to seeing that this Friday with our Australian movie.
Oh, another international movie. So you brought it up. So what movie are we viewing on Friday?
Yeah, so BMX Bandits. It is a 1982, 83 Australian movie. Starring Nicole Kidman. It's her first gig, and it is about a group of BMX riding teens that thwart crime in the most radical, extreme way.
Awesome, and for all of our listeners who could be anywhere, who have never heard of Mondo. What time would this be? How could they watch it? If you were trying to get people to grow your fan base, what would you tell them?
Okay, so you can find us, probably the easiest way is facebook.com, look up Mondo Baltimore. We have, you can find our main page that way. We have event pages every week. We are broadcasting through Cast, K-A-S-T. We have links to that on all of our events. You just basically download the app to your phone or your PC, make an account, and then just follow the link to our room and tune in, and you'll see us there riffing on movies, showing weird clips. Clips start at 7, movie starts at 8. We usually run till about 10 o'clock or so, and we do that every Friday night until we can go outside again.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll be back at the Auto Bar the first Thursday of every month.
Upstairs.
Sometime this fall, maybe, if all goes well.
We'll see.
Yeah, so make sure if you're listening, you check out mondobaltimore.com, the web address that Mike didn't realize existed.
I didn't realize it either. For the
okay, apparently nobody knew it existed, but it's there, and it's been updated by Mark. So
we're just the talent.
Job.
We don't need to know about these types of things.
Great job, Mark. Hey, listen, investigative journalism, that's what I do on these comedy podcasts. That's what we're going for. But, thank you so much, Mike, for your time. Thanks for talking podcasts and D&D and your past, and especially Mondo. And it was really cool to learn a lot about the process and what you guys go through. So we do appreciate your time, and it's always nice to talk to people that come at comedy from a different aspect or different angle, and that's why we like this. Laughter is not just stand-up comedy. It's not just improv. We find it all over the place. We find it in different venues, and people are all adapting now to find it in their computer screens.
Yeah.
So, and hey, something different than just Netflix, right?
Yeah.
No, you get to chat with friends. There's a chat pane there, so you can make your own jokes. You can just chime in with everybody looking at a weird scene and going, "What the fuck is happening right now?"
You can look out your window or watch Mondo. Either of these things are okay.
Less depressing to watch Mondo.
Less depressing to watch Mondo. That's
our tagline right there.
Yay! No, awesome. Well, that's kind of the time for today. So again, thank you for being such a great guest and hanging out with us. As always, thank you, Ros, for your time. If you've really enjoyed the stream, enjoyed watching the program, please consider making a donation and following us on social media. You can always find more links and different episodes on our website. And then tune in next week. We'll interview Los Angeles-based comedian Aaron Moore. So thank you guys.